in broad strokes, if you had a new employee, would you have any things that you want to pass along to that person?
Yes, first I would tell them that most people would chew off their left arm to have the benefit package that we have as federal employees, and don't discount that. That's the old joke, you'll never get rich, but you'll always get paid, when you work for the federal government.
Yeah.
And what I would tell that person is, number one, if you came from the military, and a lot of folks do, make your military deposit immediately. You got 2 years to do it, Pete, as you know, without paying any of the interest component. Get it done. It is the number one thing I deal with error-wise. 1 week, 1 month before retirement, these people still can't get the agency to come up with a number. They've had 22, 25, 30 years to get this done. They're paying $10,000, $20,000 in interest. So my advice, number one, to any new employee that came from the uniformed services, make that deposit. And you can do it in a payment plan through payroll deduction. So you can have it taken out over 2 years from payroll deduction without any interest component, and then it's done. And if you stay in the reserves and you get activated and you have some additional active duty time, you can buy that back later. It may only end up being 6 months, 9 months, or a year, but you can do that at the end of your career. Let's get that bulk out of the way right now when you don't have the interest component to pay. That would be, tantamount. The second thing I would tell a new employee is you got to contribute to the thrift savings plan until it hurts. What I get to see, obviously, in doing divorces, I get to see the thrift savings plan account balance when they're splitting that account, right? Pete, I see people with 1.1, 1.2, $1.4 million all the time, every day. I see people with $250,000 after 25 years. And I say to myself, how in the hell did you manage to only, save $250,000 over 30 years? Well, when I got in, one of the old guys got me and said, hey, put all your money in the G fund. And I did. And I left it that way for 30 years. And the other people with the $1.4 million will tell me, hey, the old guys told me, just put it all in the C fund. Don't make any transactions, just leave it alone. And that's folks with 1.2 million. This is not investment advice. I'm just telling you historically, people share their balances with me and they tell me what they did. And I can tell you, and I don't think it's investment advice, that the people who have the larger balances are the people who didn't try to play market master and figure out their timing their trades. Here's what I tell people is, you got to give 5%, right? You got to get the 4% matching. You get the 1% automatic just for having a pulse, and then you put in 5 and the government puts in 4. But what it looks like in the end is you're putting in 5 and they're putting in 5, but only 4 of it's a match, as you know. You got to do that. You got to do that. That's the minimum. I mean, even if you can't afford other things in your life that you need. I mean, I would go without, I hate to say cable TV because I'm dating myself because nobody does it anymore. You can live without Hulu or something like that for a year. Because, in January, although not statutory, we typically receive some sort of a raise in January, right? And at the beginning part of your career, especially if you're hired as step 1, you're quickly becoming step 2, step 3, step 4, And somehow, magically, for that prior year, Pete, you were able to live. And now you're getting a 2.7% raise in January. What are you going to do with that 2.7%? To me, the whole 2.7% should go into the thrift. Because somehow you managed to live without that. Now you have it. You don't need it. You managed to live. So continue to do that. And I tell people, you got to do that until it hurts. But once you get to that maximum amount, then it usually only goes up in $500 accounts, right? So with that, it's an extra $20 a pay period. It's no big. Once you get to the max, it kind of stops hurting. So that's my second, besides paying off the military time, is get that thrift savings plan established. And when I tell my customers or clients, when I used to do presentations, I don't do them anymore, but this is what I would tell people is, even if you got to have a plan, even if that plan is small, you got to have a plan. I say, when I came in, I'm dating myself, we had to wait 6 months to join the thrift savings plan. And there were 2 open seasons a year to make changes. Yeah. And I'll ask a group of people, say, how many open seasons do you think there are? Silence. Like 26. You get paid every 2 weeks, right? So every 2 weeks, as you know, you can go in and make a change. So go in and add $2 a pay period. Yeah. $5 a pay period is not going to kill you. If you did $2, you did $5 a pay period for a whole year, up $125 a pay period. Next thing you know, you're going to be where you need to be, but you have to have a plan. And many people don't. I'll set up that 5% peak and they won't look back and they won't change it again. So I first thing I tell people too, and I'm probably giving you a longer answer than you were looking for, is stop using percentages unless you have some massive investment plan you do outside of the federal government.
Yeah.
And you just want to do the 5% to get the match. That I understand. Some people through their spouse or other things have other savings plans. That's fine. But if
Yep.
you're the main savings person, stop using percentages. If 5% of your pay is $5,000, take 5,000 divided by 26, and that's what you start with. And then next pay period, add $5. Next pay period, add $5. You can't. It's a lot easier to see those discrete dollar increments than to go from 5% to 6% to 7%. And going from 5% to 6% may be too big to swallow for somebody as well. So,
Yeah.
so that would be my big thing. And the other thing is on the new employees.
Yep.
If you can swing this along with your thrift, because everybody's, like I said, every career is different. Some people have a spouse that makes more than they do. So max out the TSP is not a big deal. They got the money. If you have the money to do it, establish college savings accounts as soon as your children are born.
Yeah.
Again, not investment advice. Obviously, there's two main vehicles people use. I think you would agree, which would be Coverdell ESAs and 529s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Coverdell fan because those monies can be used for primary education. And I just talked to a very good friend of mine last week, whose son is now attending an expensive military college, but it was the right thing to do. It's a miracle how his son has turned around, but you can't touch 529 money for that. And at least I don't think you can. I could be wrong. So I'm a big Coverdell guy, but that doesn't mean you have to do that, but I at least set them up. And when I would give my presentation, I'd tell people, listen, it was $166.66 a month per kid per month was coming out of my USA account. And now I got, 2 kids in school and college. What a difference it makes in terms of taking a little bit of that stress off or paying for it. And I see a lot of folks don't save, or they start saving when their kids are in high school. That's the wrong time to start saving for college. So those are my 3 big things for a new employee.
Okay. And I definitely agree with that. I think that, you need to automate as much of your financial life as you can. And one of those, if you set your constraints about, okay, this is how much I'm putting away, and just forget about it. I'm putting the max away or as much as I can, and just like, that's it. And the only thing you revisit is putting more in. There's always going to be an excuse to go from 10 down to 5, and then, okay, maybe this year I'll go to 15, or that's, in the end, that's you're hurting yourself in the long run. And the TSP has a lot of benefits. It's very low cost. The fund choices are very simple, but the biggest thing is use time to your advantage and put away.